Okay, great. We're going to get started. We've muted all of the lines to make sure that there's a minimum of background noise. The purpose, as I say, my name is Steve Sapseed from BME Solutions. The purpose of this webinar is to demonstrate how you can link Open Accounts, the Open Accounts financial system, to Microsoft Excel by using the Inside add-in. Microsoft Excel is by far the most commonly used financial reporting tool. If you ask any financial manager, over 90% of them will use Excel for report preparation and probably final presentation. So I wanted just to start this off by imagining some scenarios, and there's three scenarios I want to give you, which is imagine if you call items, imagine if you were able to call items from Open Accounts, so that any number or text field was instantly available in Microsoft Excel. Imagine if you could link things like month and department and account code, so if you change those things on your spreadsheet, the numbers, the correct numbers would pull in from Open Accounts. And imagine if you could link all of your other systems in that same way, so whether it be sales or your CRM system, that they too could be available in Microsoft Excel. And it's this familiarity of Microsoft Excel which really is the selling point of this tool. So let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to divide this webinar into two parts. I'm going to spend probably less than 5 minutes going through a few slides just to introduce the Inside Excel add-in to you, and then I'm going to hand over to Steve Hunt, who is the Senior Consultant, BME Solutions, who will be demonstrating the software for you. And afterwards there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions. In fact, you can type into the chat box as we go along on the right-hand side of the GoToMeeting panel. And we'll get through as many questions we can before the end. So to start off, in terms of BME Solutions, who are we? We're a company that specializes in business intelligence and reporting and forecasting software. We've been doing it for about 20 years. We have over 100 customers in the UK, Europe, and the States. Most of our customers are in the UK. And we are very experienced in terms of financial reporting with the relevant accounting and Excel skills that are required. We sell and implement 3 products. The one today we're going to show you is Inside Excel. We also are resellers of ClickView and resellers of Quantrix as well, which is a planning and modeling tool. ClickView is a business intelligence tool. In terms of some of the customers we have a wide range of customers covering sort of public sector, universities and housing associations, colleges, through to the commercial companies, and they're pretty much scattered all around the UK. So how does this actually work? How do we effectively link Excel to Open Accounts? And those of you on this call, I think most of you, if not all of you, are using Open Accounts, and we have linked to Open Accounts in the past very successfully. So we have a scenario where you have data sources. Open Accounts would be one, and in fact any ODBC compliant data source, whether it be a sales system or even if you wanted, probably not very commonly, but spreadsheets or text files we can connect to as well. But the problem we sit with is we've got Microsoft Excel on there as your tool of choice in terms of reporting. And it's how we actually get the information from that system into Microsoft Excel. What Inside has is an integration layer which allows you to either link directly to Open Accounts or in fact create a snapshot of data and use that snapshot to drive your Excel reporting. So in the demonstration you're going to see later, we're going to show you how we actually do that and what what it actually looks like in Microsoft Excel. So the clever bit really is the gray bit in terms of the integration layer, and that is inside. You can then share those reports out, and you can schedule those reports to be distributed. You can put them on the internet, and in fact you can automate the whole report distribution and update process. But this screen really shows you what you will see in the demonstration is what accountants or people that do financial reporting really want to do. They want the ability to link a particular cell, in this case G12, to parameters in their accounting system. So in this case we have a service, asterisk in this case means all, we have a project, we have a site, we have a year, we have a month, period 6, we have a data type which is actual as opposed to budget, and that number 1.090 million is a function of what's being pointed to. So if any of those had to change, i.e. your account code, this happens to be a range of account codes, that number will change instantly as you go through. And it's very easy to take these formulas and copy them around the spreadsheet. In terms of the interface between Excel and your data source, in your case Open Accounts, we'll be taking you through a screen where you choose your parameters you want to point to. It's a wizard. You say, my month is in this cell, or my cost center is in that cell, and I'd like my amount to output in that cell over there. So to summarize, before we show you the demo of the products, of why Inside is such a popular package, is it's the ability to link directly or via a snapshot, kind of a data warehouse environment, to Open Accounts, report from any source that is ODBC compliant, utilize the knowledge of Excel to create reports and dashboards. So what we're looking at there is you already have the Excel reports, you already have all that sort of thing set up, you know how to change colors in Excel or how to put in formulas in Excel. We're just taking it to the next stage and saying we can now actually link data in from your underlying system. We can also write back budgets and forecasts from Excel back into the Inside database of Datamart. And this really has the effects in terms of benefits of no rekeying of data, no copying and pasting, no pivot tables, that sort of thing, and saving you time and increasing the accuracy or the reliability of your reporting. And there's a web link. We'll send these slides out after the demo. But I'm now going to hand over to Steve Hunt, who is actually going to demonstrate the Inside, or the ability to link your Excel to Open Accounts from here. So over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, what we're going to show you is basically samples of reports and a quick show of how to build those and show you how simple it really is. So hopefully on the screen you can see a 12-month report where the first column, the first period is actual, and the rest of the year is budget, which should at the end give you a reforecast for the end of the year. So in very simple terms, once you've set up this template, all you've got to do is literally change one of those filters. So I'm deliberately going to change halfway through the month, and you can see that the figures all drop into the reports and the columns change to actuals. So in reality what you're looking at here is purely, so one of our taglines is if you know Excel, you're 95% of the way there. So everything on this report that you're looking at is conditional formatting within Excel. The only thing that isn't is if you look in one of the cells is a formula in the formula bar at the top. Now you don't have to remember this formula, which is always nice. We do this through the interface that Steve's shown you in the PowerPoint presentation. So how do we get to this? So here's your template report. Again, Nothing about this report so far is inside. It's purely your design in Excel. So you choose the colors, you choose the conditional formatting, you put where your total and subtotal lines are. So how do we get the figure into the cell? So once you launch Excel, you can log in, which is secure login, either using your Windows login, or Inside has its own security feature as well. The first 4 icons on your bar are all how you would create a report. So there are 2 versions of Inside. One is a viewer and one is a writer. The writers will see the first 4 wizards as they are creating the reports, and the viewer would simply not see those. So we want this figure on a cell-by-cell basis. So we choose our cell wizard, and if you understand this window, it's pretty much the same for everything else. So the first thing we do is we're going to select a model. So this is where's the information coming from which database. So ours is the demonstration environment, and we're going to show you general ledger for this. And as soon as you select the model, everything that is available to you appears down the left-hand column, and then simply a drag and drop process. So we have filters around the spreadsheet, for example, the budget type, which is actual or budget. Inside is clever enough to anchor the cells correctly using absolute and relative cell referencing. So as this is directly above the cell where we want this to appear, it will automatically anchor the row for us. We then have a year, which again is directly underneath the actual, the period. We have a fixed GL cost code, so this is actually your open accounts data. Sorry, I've completely chosen the wrong one. I should be looking at open accounts summary. So we'll try that one again. So we have the budget type, the year, the period. We have the GL cost code, which if I just quickly open up for you, you can see that this hopefully you'll recognize, where it's a single digit, a dash, and then 3 more digits afterwards. What we're going to do is actually select a cell for that. So we just click on it and click in the cell reference. We have the GL expense code, and what we can do here depends on how you're used to reporting at the moment, but we can actually split that GL cost code and the GL expense code into its individual segments. So you may be used to seeing the GL cost code, which effectively is 2 segments, and the GL expense code, which is 3 segments. So if we can split those down into individual ones, it makes your more dynamic reporting for you. So what we've chosen here is segment 3, which is the first part of your expense code, and the second part of your expense code is now going down the vertical axis. And what we want to output is the amount. We click OK, and a figure will drop into the spreadsheet. So if we press function F2 on the keyboard, we can see the cells which are highlighted that we're going to choose. You will notice from the formula bar that we've already got formulas in, so equal sums, we've got some percentage columns, we've got some conditional formatting. What we can do is copy this cell and highlight the area we want to paste to, and we have a function called paste formula. And what this will do is we'll go through the spreadsheet and calculate the cells at the same time, but it will ignore the Excel formulas. So if you've got a template report already set up, it's very simple to copy and paste throughout the spreadsheet. And as you can see, through the conditional formatting we've got arrows going up, down, or even, and some percentage columns as well. Once we've set this up and saved it, all we have to simply do is go from one month to the next. So if we go from period 6 to period 7, the report will change and all the figures will drop in. Any of the cells which we've filtered on, for example the GL cost center, we can double click and it will pull up a lookup table for you. So you can choose any one of your codes, click OK, and then going from a consolidated report, you can now pull in just one individual cost code. And again, all the figures will change. We can do likewise for the expense code. We can double click on it, so hopefully you'll recognize some of these. And we can just select one of them. We don't have to physically select them. We can type into these cells if we want to. So I'm just changing these all back to asterisks. This is year 2013. If I want to go to 2014, I just change the year parameter, and you can see all the figures just drop in. Okay, what makes up those figures? So in most applications, you can drill down to a transactional level. So when we create the actual report itself, we can double click on one of the cells, you will see that I've selected from a summary source. Now, on a drill down, we want to go down to the transactional level. So if we highlight a cell and we go to our drill down wizard, it will automatically assume you want to go down to the transaction level. So down here at the bottom, you'll see some reference fields, which again are names from the open accounts tables, so you should be able to recognize these. Anything that's in the formula that we've already filtered on will be automatically included in the header. So it knows from the formula what you've already selected. So as we chose a segment 4 code, which is 40 star, so everything beginning with 4, we might want to break that down. As we chose multiple periods, we might want to see the periods going across the top. And then we can select various reference fields which will make that a bit more understandable for you. So I'm just going to randomly select some. And we may also want some form of date, whether that's the posting date, the actual date of the invoice, whatever it is. Then we can execute that, and the window appears with all of those transactions in there. So these would be individual transactions that make up that 90,000 there. So hopefully down in the bottom corner, we should see 90,000. Okay. Obviously, that's the kind of thing that the cost center managers or the departmental managers might see. So rather than having to build that every single time wherever we click, we can actually save that as a favorite. So once we know what it looks like or want it to look like, we can then build that and save it. So rather than executing, we execute and save. We give it a name. Execute so we can actually see the drill down. And next time we want to go and click on something, we just highlight the cell. We go to our favorites. There's the name we've just created, and the window automatically appears. Now this is a cube environment. So as long as there are areas in the filter that you haven't put down on the vertical or the horizontal axes, we can say, well, actually, the document number means nothing, so I'm not interested in that. I'm going to take it out. But what is interesting is the GL cost center. And that's the GL cost center that makes up those amounts. So it's a little bit like a pivot table. You just drag and drop and move things around. And that's the drill down. So quite a powerful feature. If you drill down and took that one out, for example, you can double click on an amount, and that will show you all of the individual transactions that make up that particular amount, if it's more of a summary rather than a very detailed level. Okay, so hopefully you can see there that we've taken Open Accounts General Ledger System, and we've actually given you more flexibility by dissecting the GL cost code into its 2 segments rather than just seeing it as one whole one, and the expenditure code, which we've actually put into 3 different segments. So if I just pull in the expense code here, you can see that you can report like that if you want to, or you can break it down a bit more individually. I've named these just segment 1 through to 5, but you can call those whatever you like. Another completely different style of report. So again, I'm just going to copy. I've already got a formula in here for you, so you don't have to watch me build it. Now, this is revenue at the top of this P&L report. So as we know, revenue appears as a negative figure whenever it comes out of the system due to the double entry system. But what we can do is we can double click on the cell and multiply it by -1. So it gives you exactly the same amount but reverses the sign for you. So if I copy this down into my expenditure area, you will see that the expenditure, which should come through as a positive, is now a negative. So we can double click on this and just remove the -1. and it takes it back to a positive, and then I can copy that throughout my sheet and the figures will change. So this one is a 12-month report, and it's particularly chosen just for one company. So in this case, rather than choosing a code, we're choosing a name. So we can revolve a report around a name or a description as opposed to its code itself. And if I double click on that name, you can see the other companies in there, and as soon as I select one of them, the figures will change. Okay, so just a kind of standard report. One of the other things that Inside does quite well is sending the data back from a spreadsheet as a forecast amount or a budget amount. Most people still collect their budgets in through spreadsheets, and then they either manually input them into the system or they try and save them as a CSV file format. That obviously has to be in a certain format for it to be able to go back into the system. With Inside, you can send your spreadsheets, your budget spreadsheets, into a secure database. So not necessarily back accounts, but to a secure SQL database. And it doesn't matter how you get those figures. So the sheet that you're looking at the moment are just rules of how the budget is made and split across the months. So this is our lookup table for months and how, as a percentage, they're split across the periods. So our actual budget spreadsheet would look like, here's the amount that we're allowed to spend, here's the rule, and here is that amount split across the months as per the rule. Then we have a data send wizard. So it's a very, very similar window. We're going to write this back to a particular model. So again, everything that's available to you to write back appears down the left-hand side, and then you're just literally cell referencing again. So I'm not going to dwell too much on this, but there's a company code, which is a set filter. There are periods that are going across columns, the amount, and what's going down the row is the account code. There are other filters in here, so the budget type, etc., etc. And then we can view it and we can execute it. So we can preview just to make sure what's going back is correct, and then we can execute. And that will physically write it to a secure SQL database for you. So that's just a very quick overview of what the data send can do. As Steve mentioned earlier, it's not just about finance. So it could be that you have human resources. So what you've seen at the moment are very typical finance report-driven spreadsheets. Obviously the fashion at the moment is dashboarding. So not everybody wants to see figures in a spreadsheet. So they'd like to see gauges or charts. So again, Inside can do that. So these are just Excel charts, but these gauges at the top, which hopefully you'll see move in a second, are actually part of Inside. So again, you're just changing one of the parameters. Obviously I've already set this up. So I'm just going to change this so you can see a good change on the charts to period 6 from period 1. Goes off, it grabs the figures, and all your charts change. So again, just a dashboard as opposed to figures in a spreadsheet. Again, you decide how you want your dashboard to look. And all you're doing is changing one of the filters, and the figures will change in the spreadsheet. If you want to record hours of working hours, absence, illness, etc., again, I've already put the formula in here for you, and we're just going to copy this out. You can see I'm not using the paste formula function now. I'm just using Microsoft Excel paste. So you can combine your figures with the power of Excel, so some good Excel charts and spark lines, if you like, to see trend lines, etc., going on the right-hand side. So again, that's HR. So if your human resources are struggling to report, we can do that as well. One of the new features within the product, which has come out in the last couple of months, is links to scanned-in documents. So as long as that link, the path to the actual document itself, lives within Open Accounts somewhere, we can grab that for you. So this is a combination of the scanned-in document with what we call a list wizard. So if you look at me clicking on these in the formula bar, you will see that it's just a dump of information. Okay, so this whole report is based around this one cell with the formula in. So you give it the criteria and it goes off and it finds the information for you and creates a dynamic list. So this list is driven off these two cells here. So at the moment they're saying everything. I want all account codes, all departments, and we have a total of 44 lines. I can double click on this cell and it will pull up my table for me, and I'm just going to select the account code 4001, and you can see that my list has changed. It's given me the relevant path to the scanned in document. And I can click on this, it's a hyperlink, it goes off, it finds the image and brings it up on the screen for you. Again, if I want to narrow that down to a particular department, you can see that it's getting lower. Select all account codes for one particular department, and again they drop in, you click on the link and off it goes. If there is a path to a scanned-in document, you can also access that from the drill down window. So it's not just from the spreadsheet. So that's hyperlinked documents. Obviously we're don't want to keep you too long. I'll just show you one more thing and just again show you the power of Inside with the power of Excel. So hopefully you're kind of familiar with pivot tables and pivot charts. So what we have here is a pivot chart with slices, which are again just an Excel feature. They're nothing to do with Inside. And what we're doing is we're pulling this pivot chart off using Inside. So I've got a list of all of the salary records, whether it's holiday pay, working hours, etc. And this again is just formed from the list wizard. So I double click on this cell, you can see that I've just chosen certain account code names, and then rather than just outputting the amounts to the spreadsheet, I can output as many things as I like. I'm not restricted. The only restriction is the 256 columns within Excel. As soon as I click OK, it goes off, it creates the list for me, and you can see how quick that was because you could hardly see it change. And then the pivot chart and the slices are looking at that data. So I can say I just want 2012 for all companies. I can have it for just Bike City for the first 3 months, and you can see that it instantly changes. So you use the power of Excel and your knowledge to create the reports you want to see. And that's it. I shall hand you back over to Steve. Thank you for listening.
Good. Thanks, Steve. That was a good demo. It was a great demo. So what we've got now is we've got a chat box. If you want to ask any questions on the chat box, you can, and Steve and I will answer them. So we'll just wait a few minutes to see which questions come in. We do have one that's come in already, which is, I should probably ask Steve Hunt this question, which is, how long does it take to set up Inside or implement Inside with open accounts, Steve?
As we've done it on a number of occasions already, and depending on how much you want out of it, I would say 2 days maximum. We do have some SQL scripts for older versions of open accounts. So later versions are on an SQL database, which makes it very simple for a live link or a snapshot in time. If it's the older version of open accounts, then it does take a little bit longer and probably more recommended for the snapshot in time rather than a live link. But 2 days and a day of training for Excel, because it's very simple